In this opportunity, we're going to present our products that belong to the 2014 catalog. We're going to start with this mate that is chiseled in this kind of fruit called actually mate. As you can see around the mate, you will find lots of figures. On the very top you find birds, you find flowers, you find plants, and also something that is very interesting, that is a kind of a storytelling chiseled on this. So you see stories of people from the highlands in the Andes when they harvest their products. For example, here you have when they wash their hairs, and you can see the towns, the houses, very typical from where they live. You can see here working on the field. More stories you will find below here. For example, when they are cooking typical Peruvian food, or here, for example, when they are waving in a traditional way. So now, something that is interesting about this mate that we are presenting is that inside of it we have a representation of Jesus Christ's birth in a very Indian style. You will see that all the characters that are there are hand painted and that are also designed by hand. Every single piece is designed by hand, is unique. This is inspired by the Ayacucho culture that is, well, it's actually a city that is in the north of Peru in the highlands. You will also see it on the very top. There's also an Ayacucho flower style that you will see. I'm sorry. It goes like this. It has 3 legs that are made of ceramic, so you can place it like this. Now, this is our first mate. We have a second mate that is right here. This is a smaller version of the one that we mentioned before, and it has as well a story, in this case of a couple, that talks about how they met, how they got married. You can see them there. How they got their wedding presents with all the musicians in a party, you can see. What they do in their day-to-day life, how they sew, how they met, and it's the whole story. On the very top you also find very beautiful geometric designs that are really, this process to be made, they use like a kind of a needle, and they carefully start chiseling all these designs. So you can imagine that it takes a long time and a lot of effort, and every piece of this is unique. Now, continue showing our products. Here we have an Inca mask that represents, it's a representation of the Inca wearing the mascaipacha, that is the king's crown, and this product is carved and made in eucalyptus wood. As you can see, it's been carefully painted by hand. We always have to recognize that these products are all made by hand, are handmade. You can see all the features, the eyes, the nose, they've been carefully made, the mouth, and it's eucalyptus wood, completely painted. Now we're going to present our next product, that are these 3 beautiful wooden plates. The first plate shows women with their jugs. They are typical women from the highlands, and inside of the jugs there is chicha de jora, that is a very typical alcoholic drink from the highlands. On the very top of the plate you will find also another representation of of a ritual sacrifice of animals that were very typical in the Incas time. You will see here llamas and other animals inside of it, and the people that would make the sacrifice. On the bottom, you will find geometrical figures that are also found in, for example, in the Nazca culture. They are very typical, and also in the Inca culture. They are very typical. Now, on the second plate, you have a representation of the sun and the moon. In Quechua, in the native language of the Incas, they are called the Quilla, and Indi. Also, you find very beautiful and colorful geometrical designs all over it. They were very typical of the Incas. And finally, we have a smaller plate that represents the typical streets that you would find if you go to Cusco. If we zoom it up, if we zoom a little bit, you will find people from the highlands, and you will find llamas and the very typical constructions or buildings that you find there that are actually not made of concrete, but made of a sort of mud with mixture of stones. Very typical from there as well. Now we're going to present a beautiful piece of art that is called a retablo. This is an Ayacucho style retablo. Now, what you see in this very first view are beautiful flowers with plants. This style belongs to Ayacucho, that is a city located in the north of Peru, as we mentioned before. Now, if we turn it a little bit, you will find that it's also got this design. If we zoom it up, it's very beautiful, painted, hand painted. The very top as well, here as well, and also on the top. Right, now what is inside of it? Inside of it we will find these characters. There are two representations of two celebrations that we have here in Peru. The first one, and is well known all over the world, is the Jesus Christ birth in Ayacucho style. As you will see, all these characters are painted by hand and are also handmade. They are carefully made, as you can see them. Now, on the bottom part, we will find a bullfight party that is called La Fiesta del Toro. That is also very typical in Ayacucho. Well, it's been inherited by Spaniards, but now it's very typical there. See the person there, the bull, all carefully painted, very beautiful. Now here we have our second retablo, as we mentioned before. This second retablo has an extra feature that are these ceramic made flowers that you find all over it, and also on the sides, on the top. You can see. Now what is inside of it? Here is another representation of something very typical from Peru. Inside of it you will see all these characters that are also hand painted and are also handmade, and they are collecting what we call tuna. It's not a fish. Tuna for us is a fruit. It's sort of a fruit that is very delicious. It's red color, and you will find it here. Here is a representation. All this are the tuna. People are collecting it. Now, why is this collection of tuna important? Because in the tuna plant there grows the cochineal, and the cochineal is used to dye the clothing, the fabrics of the very typical Peruvian fabrics. They use the cochineal. The cochineal has a very intense color, and when you dye it with it, it gives it a really powerful color, really intense, and it lasts, let's say, forever. Because if you find and you see in the Nazca culture and the Paracas culture that were really well known for their fabrics, you will see that the fabrics are still are still conserved as if they were painted like 2 days, 3 days ago. The color is still there, as intense as it was painted a few days ago. Now we're going to present these products. We have here 5 belts that are made of wool. We have to say that the wool that these belts are made is not the natural wool. It's not the wool that we usually use, that is the industrial wool. No, this is a natural organic wool, and every single belt has been worked carefully and painted with a cochineal, that insect that we mentioned before. As you can see, the colors that you find in there are really, really powerful, very intense. The dyeing process with cochineal gives them this intensity, as you can see here. It's very intense. You see all the colors. The orange one. Now, with these belts, we also have other products that are made of the same kind of wool. Here we have a pencil case that actually can be used as a pencil case and also to store anything that you want to. Here in Peru, we usually use it to store coins or to store notes. You can see the design, all handmade. Takes really hard work to do this, but it's so beautiful, the result, as you can see. Here you have these headbands that, if you notice, are the same material. Right here, almost the same design, and these colors. Behind it has an elastic band with a head, and we have this beautiful and little purse that you can store coins in it. The texture, it's a shame that you cannot touch it, but it's really, really soft to the touch. Now here we're going to present our collection of embossed leather. This is a breakfast tray with a representation of a tumi. The tumi was a ceremonial knife that was used by the Incas. It's said that they used it to summon the power or the spirit of the gods. The materials that have been used in this tray are wood, and of course this is leather, 100% leather, that has been carefully carved to create this design. All these designs are made by hand. You see carefully all the effort that it takes to create this piece of art. Very beautiful. Now, this tray comes with wood legs that you can place them here. You can see the wood legs. If you want to place a tray, you just put it like this. The other one as well. And then there you have your breakfast served, as you can see there. Now we have a second tray, that is this one. The second tray is a representation of a god called Huiracocha or Viracocha. Both names are accepted. This god was believed to be the creator and ruler of the world by the Incas. You will also see this design, this like geometrical figures. Very beautiful. The leather has received a special treatment that makes its life really long. I mean, it lasts almost forever, and the texture is really nice. It actually smells nice as well. It's made in wood. The frames are in wood, as you can see here. One's wood. Now we have these three trays. These three trays are completely embossed in leather. I mean, they are made of wood, but they are covered with leather, as you can see here. This is a representation of two llamas. This is a very typical site that you would have in the Andes, with a cactus. There is a plant where the cochineal grows, the llamas, and the mountains. As you can see there is a cactus, another cactus. They come in this set. There is a smaller one. As we mentioned, as we see here, look, all this leather, covered in leather. The three ones are covered in leather all over it. As is different if you see this one that we were mentioning before. This is just wood, but the ones we were mentioning have leather all over. Finally, for our leather collection, we have these placemats. One is from Machu Picchu. Looks almost like a picture, if you can see. All leather. You turn it. This is leather. Let's receive this special treatment that we mentioned. You can bend it. It will not break. And this is the ricochet cut that we mentioned before. Now, here we have what we call caminito. What is caminito? Caminito is a sort of tablecloth, but it's not a tablecloth. It goes on the table, and you put it in the middle of the table, as you can see. It's a decorative feature. If you see carefully, all these birds and all these flowers have been made by hand, or handmade. Now, this caminito is very special. Why? Because to create this, generally it's not created just by one person. Lots of women, they gather together and they start doing this all together. As you can see, it's very beautiful. It has this decoration that they put. The process of dyeing is also made with the cochineal that gives it this intense color, as you can see. Very beautiful. Every single detail has been performed carefully. Now here we're going to present our tablecloths. These tablecloths and their colors when you see the colors in Peru, in the highlands, we know the town or the city that it came from. For example, here you have a yellow color, a red one right here, a greenish one, as you can see, and a bluish one as well. The designs are generally they're kind of geometric, and they represent, in this case, a condor, a llama. Here you have, for example, an owl. As you can see here, has an owl, spider, anaconda as well. The colors are really intense, as you can see, really beautiful. Now we are going to present our handbags. These Andean handbags are made of the same material that we were mentioning are made our tablecloths. They come with 2 rings that are made of wood, really nice to the touch. Comes with the figures that you can see. For example, here you have a pelican, there is a bird, Peruvian bird. Here you have a llama, and spider, the condor, there is our national highlands bird here as well. Here you have another color, a reddish one. It's an owl, for example. Geometric figures, very nice. Now we have these 3 purses that are of the same size, and we have this one that is a smaller size and comes with an extra feature. There are, instead of 2 rings, 4 rings, as you can see here. It's bluish color, really beautiful. With kind of squares, right?